Imagine waking up every morning to find a shiny, arrogant Porsche blocking your driveway, owned by the spoiled son of the neighborhood's most entitled Karen. But what happens when patience runs out and revenge turns that luxury car into a pile of twisted scrap metal? Stick around for this epic tale of parking wars gone nuclear. Hey everyone, if you're into wild stories of HOA nightmares, Karen meltdowns, and sweet, sweet justice served cold, smash that like button right now, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Let's dive into this driveway drama that's got the whole block talking. In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the watchful eyes of nosy neighbors, Emily Harper had built her dream life. A single mother in her mid-40s, she worked from home as a freelance graphic designer, cherishing the peace of her modest two-story house with its attached garage and wide driveway. The neighborhood was the kind of place where people waved hello and hosted barbecues, but beneath the surface simmered the petty rivalries that defined suburban existence. Emily's troubles began innocently enough, or so it seemed, when the new neighbors moved in next door. The Johnsons arrived with a flurry of moving trucks and an air of superiority that immediately set tongues wagging. At the helm was Karen Johnson, a bleach-blonde woman in her 50s with a perpetual scowl and a wardrobe of designer tracksuits. She was the archetype of entitlement, the kind who complained about everything from leaf blowers to children's laughter. But it was her son, Tyler, who would become the true thorn in Emily's side. Tyler was 25, unemployed, and living off his mother's dime, driving a gleaming black Porsche 911 that he treated like a trophy. The car was his pride and joy, washed obsessively and parked conspicuously to flaunt his unearned wealth. The first incident happened on a crisp Monday morning in early spring. Emily stepped out to her driveway, coffee in hand, ready to drive her daughter Lily to school. But there, smack in the middle of her property, sat Tyler's Porsche, its engine still ticking from a recent joyride. Emily blinked in disbelief, assuming it was a mistake. She knocked on the Johnsons' door, but no one answered. Frustrated, she left a polite note under the wiper. "Please don't park here. This is my driveway." By the time she maneuvered her old SUV around the obstruction and returned home that afternoon, the note was gone, and the car had vanished. She shrugged it off as a one-time flub. But the next morning it happened again. The Porsche gleamed under the rising sun, blocking her exit completely. Emily's irritation bubbled up. She pounded on the Johnsons' door this time, and after a long wait, Karen answered, her face twisted in annoyance. Emily explained the issue calmly, but Karen waved her off, claiming Tyler was just borrowing space because their own driveway was cluttered with her husband's golf clubs. Emily suggested they clear their own space, but Karen shut the door with a huff. As days turned into weeks, the parking became a daily ritual. Every morning, without fail, Tyler's Porsche occupied Emily's driveway from dawn until he sauntered out around noon to retrieve it. Emily's polite requests escalated to firm demands, but Karen dismissed them all, insisting that it's just a driveway and that Emily was overreacting. The neighborhood HOA, a toothless organization run by retirees, offered no help. Their rules were vague on parking disputes, and Karen was already on the board, schmoozing her way into influence. Emily started documenting everything. Photos time-stamped, notes on the times, but it felt futile. Her work suffered. Clients complained about delayed calls because she couldn't leave on time. Lily missed the school bus more than once, leading to tardy slips and frustrated mornings. Whispers spread through the cul-de-sac. That Johnson boy thinks he owns the street. Neighbors sympathized but kept their distance, fearing Karen's wrath. She was known for filing complaints over minor infractions, like overgrown hedges or holiday lights left up too long. One particularly rainy morning, Emily found herself trapped again. The Porsche's tires had sunk slightly into the wet gravel, making it impossible to nudge around. She called a tow truck, but by the time it arrived, Tyler emerged, yawning and smirking, keys dangling from his finger. "Whoa, lady, chill. It's not a big deal." He drove off leisurely, leaving Emily fuming in the downpour. That evening, she confronted Karen in the driveway, her voice steady but edged with anger. Karen crossed her arms, her fake nails tapping impatiently. "My son has every right. Your driveway's bigger anyway. Share a little." Emily walked away, her mind racing with thoughts of retaliation, but she pushed them down. She wasn't that kind of person, or so she thought. As the incidents piled up, Emily's patience frayed like an old rope. She installed a camera overlooking the driveway, capturing Tyler's smug arrivals each dawn. The footage showed him glancing at her house with a grin as if daring her to react. Karen, meanwhile, escalated her own pettiness, reporting Emily's recycling bins as unsightly to the HOA, and even calling the city about a supposed noise violation from Emily's lawnmower. By the end of the first month, Emily's life had become a cycle of frustration. She researched local laws, discovering that parking on private property without permission was trespassing, but the police dismissed her calls as a civil matter. Tyler's Porsche became a symbol of everything wrong in her world: the entitlement, the disregard, the impunity. One night lying awake, Emily stared at the ceiling, her mind wandering to darker solutions. What if she towed it herself? What if she blocked him in? But those ideas felt too mild. The seed of something more drastic planted itself in her thoughts, growing quietly as the mornings blurred into one another. The driveway, once a mundane part of her home, now felt like a battlefield, and Emily was tired of losing ground. As the conflict simmered into its second month, Emily's resolve hardened like concrete under the summer sun. She had tried diplomacy, documentation, and even a strongly worded letter from a lawyer friend, but nothing deterred Tyler or his enabling mother. Karen had taken to waving mockingly from her window each time Emily struggled to exit her own property, her laughter audible through the glass. The neighborhood watched from afar, some offering quiet support. A sympathetic nod from the elderly couple across the street, a whispered "she's awful" from the jogger next door, but no one intervened. Emily's daughter, Lily, now 10, began to notice the tension, asking why that mean boy's car was always there. Emily forced smiles, assuring her it would be resolved, but inside, a storm brewed. Emily decided to fight fire with pettiness. She started parking her SUV at the edge of her driveway, forcing Tyler to maneuver awkwardly when he arrived. But he adapted, squeezing the Porsche in at odd angles, sometimes scraping her flower beds in the process. Crushed petals littered the ground like casualties of war. Next, she placed bright orange cones along the driveway's perimeter, labeling them "no parking." Tyler kicked them aside, scattering them into the street. Emily retrieved them each time, her frustration mounting. She joined the HOA meetings, hoping to rally support, but Karen dominated the discussions, steering them toward irrelevant topics like community flower choices. When Emily raised the parking issue, Karen feigned innocence, claiming it was just kids being kids and that Emily was harassing her family. The board nodded along, intimidated by Karen's sharp tongue and veiled threats of lawsuits. The escalations grew bolder. One weekend, Emily hosted a small garage sale, advertising it online to draw a crowd. Cars lined the street, but Tyler still parked in her driveway, blocking potential buyers. Sales suffered as people grumbled and left. Emily's camera caught Karen peeking through curtains, a satisfied smirk on her face. In retaliation, Emily reported the Johnsons' overgrown weeds to the city, earning them a citation. Karen's response was swift. Anonymous complaints about Emily's dog barking, though she didn't own a pet. The police visit was humiliating, the officer apologetic but obligated to warn her. Emily's work calls became interrupted by these distractions, her designs delayed, clients growing impatient. She confided in a friend over coffee, venting about the spoiled brat and his witch of a mother. The friend suggested moving, but Emily refused. This was her home, bought with years of savings after her divorce. As summer heat waves rolled in, the Porsche's presence became unbearable. Tyler blasted music from its speakers while idling, the bass vibrating Emily's windows. She asked him to stop, but he cranked it louder. Lily's sleep suffered, her school performance dipping. Emily's breaking point neared when she returned from grocery shopping to find the Porsche not just parked, but with a fresh scratch along her garage door, courtesy of Tyler's careless exit. No apology came. Instead, Karen accused Emily of fabricating it for attention. That night, Emily scoured online forums, reading tales of similar HOA horrors. Karen's toppled by clever schemes, entitled "Offspring Humbled." Ideas flooded her, sugar in the gas tank, boot on the wheel. But she craved something monumental, a statement that would echo through the suburb. She recalled a cousin who owned a junkyard with industrial crushers, the kind that flattened cars into pancakes. The thought lingered, absurd yet tantalizing. Emily began planning subtly. She observed Tyler's routine, out late partying, home by dawn, parking lazily before crashing inside. Karen left for yoga at 7 a.m., oblivious. Emily tested boundaries once leaving her trash bins in the way. Tyler swerved around them, honking obnoxiously. The camera footage piled up, a digital arsenal. Neighbors started sharing their own Karen stories. A fined barbecue, a blocked sidewalk forming a quiet alliance. One evening, during a block party Karen boycotted, whispers turned to action. "Someone needs to teach them a lesson," the elderly couple said. Emily nodded, her mind set. The driveway war was evolving from skirmishes to strategy, and as the sun set on another obstructed day, Emily knew the time for half measures had passed. The seed of revenge had sprouted, ready to bloom into something irreversible. With the arrival of autumn's crisp leaves crunching underfoot, Emily's plan coalesced into a meticulously orchestrated symphony of retribution. She had endured months of infringement, her driveway a constant reminder of the Johnsons' audacity. Tyler's Porsche continued its morning invasions, now with added flair. Headlights left on to drain the battery, or doors ajar as if mocking her. Karen's pettiness peaked when she petitioned the HOA to repaint Emily's mailbox, claiming it clashed with the neighborhood aesthetic. The board, under her sway, approved, forcing Emily to comply at her expense. But these slights only fueled her resolve. She contacted her cousin Jake, who ran a salvage yard on the town's outskirts. Over a hushed phone call, she outlined her vision. Not just towing the car, but obliterating it. Jake chuckled at first, thinking it a joke, but Emily's tone convinced him. "It's trespassing," she insisted, "and I've got proof." He agreed to help, provided she handled the logistics. The operation required precision. Emily scouted towing services willing to operate discreetly, finding one run by a former neighbor who'd clashed with Karen years ago. "Happy to oblige," the owner said. She synchronized timelines, Tyler's predictable dawn parking, Karen's early departure. On the chosen morning, a foggy Thursday, Emily watched from her darkened window as the Porsche pulled in at 5:45 a.m. Tyler stumbled out, reeking of nightlife, and vanished inside. Heart pounding, Emily signaled the tow truck lurking around the corner. It arrived silently, hooks attaching to the undercarriage. The Porsche lifted effortlessly, towed away before the sun crested the horizon. Emily followed in her SUV, adrenaline surging. At the salvage yard, Jake waited with the massive hydraulic crusher, a beast of rusted metal and raw power. The Porsche was positioned under its jaws, its sleek body gleaming one last time. As the machine roared to life, Emily stood back, camera rolling. The crusher descended with a groan, metal screeching as the roof caved in. Glass shattered in a cascade, tires bursting like balloons. The once proud vehicle folded inward, compacted into a dense slab of scrap unrecognizable. Jake handed her the flattened remnant, a twisted pancake of luxury. "That's for all the headaches," he said. Emily paid in cash, ensuring no traces. Back home, she placed the scrap in her garage, a trophy of triumph. The morning unfolded normally. Lily to school, work calls, but anticipation built. Tyler emerged at noon, staring blankly at the empty driveway. His confusion turned to panic, racing to Karen's side as she returned. Sirens wailed soon after. Police arrived, summoned by frantic calls. Emily met them calmly, footage in hand. Months of trespassing evidence. "It was on my property," she explained. "I had it removed." The investigation revealed the tow, but the yard's paperwork listed it as abandoned salvage. Jake stonewalled, claiming it arrived anonymously. Tyler's rage was palpable, his screams echoing as he demanded justice. Karen stormed Emily's porch, accusations flying, but the officers sided with evidence. The HOA, sensing the tide turn, distanced from Karen, her influence crumbling. Neighbors applauded quietly, sharing the story in hushed tones. Tyler's loss hit hard. Without his wheels, his bravado deflated. He moved out weeks later, tail between legs, to crash with friends. Karen's complaints ceased, her isolation growing as the block united against her. Emily's driveway stood free, a symbol of reclaimed territory. Peace returned to Willow Creek, the tale of the crushed Porsche becoming local legend, a warning to entitled souls everywhere. In the end, justice wasn't just served. It was flattened into oblivion. Thanks for sticking around for this insane story of driveway revenge. If you loved seeing that spoiled brat and his Karen mom get owned, drop a like, subscribe for more HOA horror tales, and turn on notifications so you catch the next one. What's your wildest neighbor story? Comment below, I read them all. See you in the next video.